We good?
We are good.
We do have a quorum, so get started. Welcome in everyone to the annual meeting of October 7th, 2022 of the City of Geneva Industrial Development Agency. This is our annual meeting, so there's a number of housekeeping things that we have to take care of. So I am calling the meeting to order. The first administrative report on the annual, Jason's here, that's good. Is the annual motion, well, we need to make a motion to approve the annual financial report, which is the following page. Tracy, you want to go through that, please?
Yes. So you have a P&L from the year. I picked up the mail and there's a couple of September bills that got added after this was created, but I think it was just $336. So that would be added to the audit. So just know that it was legal fees will be an additional $336 when you see the audit. That was just a little bit of a leftover service related to that foreclosure proceeding. But at the end of the year, you appear to have made out quite well between, you had one really large project as well as the proceeds from the land sale. So that was more than sufficient to cover your operating costs for the year. And I am starting to get everything put together for the auditor and we'll be able to move forward with that process very soon.
That's good. Any questions before you make a motion to approve the statement? Jason, you usually check these things out real good. Do you have anything yet?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Great.
All right.
You'll have another chance with the audit, I promise.
Yeah, right. All right. So I need a motion to approve the annual financial report.
I'll make
So
that
moved.
motion.
Okay, Ben makes the motion and Irene seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So passed. No. Opposed, no. All right. The agenda items, we do have some nominations and the policy approval updates, which is a pretty big part of the packet that we received. And there's some committee appointments, self-evaluation and fiduciary duties. Those are forms that were included that each of us have to sign. And if you didn't bring them with you, if you could at least get them signed and get them to Tracy so she can do that. So the first thing is the nominations. And yeah, Tracy, it looks like you're going to handle that right now.
Yes, so the two things we'll wait for committee assignments because we're going to want to pass the charters before we do the committee assignments. But we'll start with board seats and officers. Both Ben and RJ's terms expired on September 30th. Both of them are very much open to remaining on the board if that is the desire of the board. So the recommendation here is to reappoint Ben and RJ for terms of October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2027. You have very long terms. And then the officers, the existing officers are willing to remain in those roles. If there's someone else that is interested, I'm sure they would be open to that conversation as well. But as of right now, that's the recommendation, is to maintain the existing officers, and those are one-year terms.
Well, it's separate motions. First for the appointment of Ben and RJ to continue on the board as members. Motion, please. Lowell made the motion.
Second.
And Irene second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so passed. Motion to appoint the ID officers is listed above. Motion, Ben.
Motion.
Seconded Lowell.
Sure. Yes.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. RJ, you all good with that?
Yes, yep, I'm in.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure you're included. All right.
Okay.
And then the committees, we're going to wait until we're going to come back to that then? Okay. All right, so then the next thing is the policy approval updates. Now, that was a pretty long list. And again, I want to thank Tracy for putting it all together in a package that we can all refer to when and if these things, I'm going to just run down the list. It's not longer than I thought it was, but there's approving policies, I'm sorry, audit committee, finance committee, governments committee. Those are all their statement of purpose, charter, I'm sorry. Look for it. Fiscal management policy, whistleblower policy, our mission statement, the IDA bylaws, code of ethics, conflict of interest, compensation and attendance policy, events and identification policy, extension of credit, travel policy, public meeting and video conferencing policy, investment policy, procurement policy, real property acquisition policy, guidelines for disposition of real property, uniform project evaluation form, uniform tax exemption form, and policy for termination of financial assistance. Now we're going to go over the project evaluation form a little bit later, but it's in the packet to be approved. Now these are all things, some of these haven't been changed. Most of them have been updated. Some of them were added because we were lacking, and we've certainly discussed that a few meetings ago and kind of went over the wherewithal. And the governance committee went through these last month. So without further ado, unless there's any questions, I'd like a motion to approve the policies updates.
Before we do that, I just want to point to a couple other things in the resolution are appointing the Paris contact, which is currently me until there is someone else doing this role. And then a contracting officer, also currently me until there is someone else doing that role. So that is also in the resolution that you have in the packet, in addition to all the policies. And those are kind of.
Any discussion or any questions? I think we've kind of vetted this previously. All right, so motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
All right, thank you, Lowell. All right, Irene seconded.
Yep.
Okay, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Okay. Okay, now are we going to talk about the committee appointments? You said you wanted, we've
Yes.
approved that, so now we're going to go back to the committee appointments, which were on the board appointment page, board nomination page. Governance committee is currently is the executive committee, which myself, Rick, and Irene. The nominating committee is RJ, Irene, and Lowell. Audit committee, Irene, Rick, and RJ. Market committee, myself, Lowell, Ben, and Jason. And then we have some positions to fill for the finance committee. So we should probably do that first.
Yep.
Okay, anyone interested in finance?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Jason?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, actually. If no one said anything, I was going to ask.
I'm trying to like keep my eyes.
Don't make eye contact. Okay, we need two others.
Mhm.
Would you like to chair that committee?
Sure.
Good, all right.
That seems like a great choice.
Yeah.
So I can serve on it as well.
Okay, you're good, Ben? All right,
I know I'm already on 3, but does it make sense for the treasurer to be
absolutely.
on that one?
Actually, I think you should be the chair,
Yeah.
right? I think they have to be the chair. Not have to be, but it should, it's typical. Don't matter? All right, that's
I am
good. That'll
happy
give us
to-
some,
Yeah.
I don't think
Have
that's in the
RJ.
charter, right? That it has to be treasurer.
okay. All right, so we got all of our committees
Yep.
occupied. So motion to approve the committees as outlined above. Any discussion, anything further? All right, motion, Ben,
Motion.
looks good. Lowell seconded. All right. This is all housekeeping.
A lot of committees, a lot of things to do.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. RJ, you good?
Yep.
All right. Self-evaluation forms, they are in the packet. And so, as I mentioned before, I encourage you to do that. Fiduciary duties is in the packet. Also in the inside of the document that had all of the policies, there is come on.
Annual disclosure, conflict
Yeah,
of
there is
interest.
conflict of interest, boy.
It's Friday. It's been a long weekend.
Sorry. Conflict of interest. So those three documents we need to execute and get in it, so they're in the file. It's all pretty much self-explanatory. Some of them are only required when you step on the board, but I think we're doing them manually just to make sure it's a complete package. So we appreciate you getting that into Tracy. Are there any questions before we close this annual meeting, which took 11 minutes?
Yes, and
Do you have anything to add?
those documents, or you can drop them off, you can mail them to City Hall, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy is fine.
And can you reach out to Rick and he's the only one.
I'll send out a reminder after the email or
Okay.
after this meeting with all of the forms.
Okay,
I will look for yours and let you know.
Perfect, thank you.
that all sounds good. Okay, without further delay, I'd like to ask a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Lowell is making that motion. Ben is second.
So,
Oh, RJ wanted a second.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, you can do
he's
it.
not here. All right. All right. All in favor?
Hi,
Annual meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
good job.
All right. Now I'd like to call to order the monthly meeting of the City of Geneva Industrial Development Agency of October 7th, 2022. The meeting is now called to order. We do have, the first thing, we have a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. And they are included in the packet. Is there any discussion? Any questions, corrections? We all stand okay. So then I would like a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Lowell. You're very busy today.
I know, I came empty-handed, I gotta stay busy.
Second?
Second.
All right, Irene, that sounds good. All right, all in favor? Aye, all right. Oh, thank you, RJ. All right, so minutes are approved. Financial report for this month. The month to date, profit and loss. Pretty much the same information that we just approved on the other one. Tracy, do you have any highlights, or does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that, again, that $363 legal bill did not show up on here because I didn't get it until after I pulled this report, but that will officially be in the 2022 financials.
Okay. Motion to approve the financial report. Are there any questions? Motion to approve financial report.
So moved.
so
Ben and Irene. All right. All right. City, now we're going to go to the update portion of the meeting. City School District. I see Maureen is not here today.
Yes,
We'll
she
just-
was ill, but she plans to be back for the next meeting.
Okay. Did she submit a report or anything?
She did not, no.
Okay. Miles, thank you for being on the line or staying on the line. We have your report here in writing, which appreciate you contributing every month. Would you like to share the highlights with us, please?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Absolutely. So I think in terms of highlights, we've got some activity. We've had some tenant movement in there that's freed up some industrial warehouse space over there. We still have some vacancies on the office side, but we are in talks with a group that might take over a larger chunk over there. I should know better by the next meeting. We should have something in the works or signed by then. And then I've had a couple good tenant meetings regarding some smaller tenants. There's Seneca Pure Waters was one of them. We had a nice meeting with them. Might be looking for a little more space, I think, from what they currently have somewhere else, and another small manufacturing company. I think, Tracy, I think there was another one that you had contact with. I don't know if they're still out there or not. I think they're still on our list, but that's the only one I was unsure of.
I have not heard from them recently, no.
All right, yeah, that's the crux of it.
Financial portion of it? Looks like you're at least running a positive balance right now.
Yeah, and we've been, pretty good at, conservatively fixing things. We're doing some roof work right now. The boilers are all tuned up, ready to go, and we've got some, just some winter tune-up stuff. So we'll keep along that path.
I didn't see utility income in this month's report. Do we have that?
Income statement.
Yeah, it's just utility income portion. I see that the electric went up a couple grand, but utility income has been running around $7,500. So I just didn't see anything in there.
Yeah,
Trace?
I'm not sure. I'd have to dial that down a little further. I wish I could answer that.
Well, it'll make your financial statement look better. That's a good sign.
Yeah, no, and I don't know if it's missing, or I'll look into that and get back to you.
Any questions of Miles? And we're going to discuss frontal logic later. So we'll hold off on that. Any other comments about the GEDC? Did the GEDC committee meet yet? I know that's further down, but.
Kind of. Not officially.
Okay,
We had a little bit of an informal discussion to know what we need to do moving forward, but it was not an official meeting of the GEDC
Okay.
committee.
that was actually the new business. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, that's okay.
All right, Miles, thank you for the report. We'll look forward to the next meeting then.
Thank you.
All right. See, our new city manager is here at the table, and appreciate you being here. City council report.
Yeah, so city council met on Tuesday evening. They approved the MAP grant. So Tracy's working on submitting that. They also are assisting with an ESD Restore New York grant for a Middle Street project that's going to rehab where the old grain mill is into a mixed use apartment. So hopefully both of those applications are going in soon, and then we will wait and see. The other side of things, we are in the process of interviewing for the economic development director position, planning and economic development director position. We had both an internal and external panel meet with the first bunch of candidates. We have additional interviews next week, and are hopeful that we'll be able to move ahead with that. The two panels met prior to that, did some implicit bias training, and are going through that process. So we will see what that yields. At the same time, we're committed to making sure that we have the right person in this role. It's a very broad, overarching role, and I think the number of people that are involved in it is helpful, because they're going to have to interact with all sorts of facets of the community and to understand what planning, economic development, how they marry and sometimes divorce, as well as all of the different characters and the cast that play into that.
Okay. Any questions of Amy?
I'm on the external committee. So that interview,
Okay, all right,
spent the day interviewing qualified candidates.
good.
Oh, did you ask the tough questions?
I always do, but they were written ahead, so we had to be consistent. And I picked the toughest one to answer.
Good.
You really picked him out on that, didn't you?
I think the comments that were made as applicants were coming to the internal panel that, don't worry, this will be a much easier interview process than the external panel. So we have members from the IDA, LDC, BID, school district, Hobart William Smith, FLCC. It's quite a big panel with definitely a lot of different stakeholders that are really looking forward to this position coming on board. And it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together and kind of the reality of economic development and planning here in Geneva.
Good, good. We look forward to working with that person.
Ew.
Um,
Me too.
IDA projects, Tracy,
Yeah.
kind of, I know you heard from Trinity.
Yep, they're still looking at fall, probably a little later in the fall, but
Closed before the end of the year, though.
seems like it, right?
I thought he said December, January.
Yeah, December, January,
Yeah.
sorry.
Push a little bit, yeah, okay.
But that's still, I mean, winter doesn't officially start until what, January sometime, so that's still
Yeah.
fall. Right?
I think he's waiting for approval on his,
Yeah, I think it was a SHPO approval. he
SHPO,
was
yeah.
waiting For, right?
Yeah.
Like an environmental, he had to resubmit one phase to get into phase 2 and that.
because it was so long a distance, right?
Yeah.
A gap,
You were remembering this much better than I am right now.
yeah, okay.
Thank you. And then I did have I had an inquiry come in over the last week or so. It was a smaller business. It's a retail and nonprofit, but a nonprofit gallery. So it's actually a much better fit for the map if that's awarded. The individual submitted a letter of interest for the map to help with that grant application. But it wasn't an appropriate fit for the IDA because it was retail and owner occupied residential, which is not really within the scope of the IDA legally. And the retail exceptions were not working for this particular. So there was an inquiry, just be aware. It just wasn't necessarily appropriate for the IDA at this point. So other than that, I don't think I have anything else to report on projects.
Nardozzi is still probably going to approach us for a pilot once they get their building permit.
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or once they get the site plan approval. Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's the list. Appreciate in the policies too, that you put together the application. Let's kind of clean that up. It looks consistent, uniform, and our approach with the tax exemption at least is uniform. So there's a lot of different IDAs doing a whole bunch of different things. So it's nice that we at least have, this is a good starting point. So that was appreciated.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but Emma actually cleaned that up a lot for me. So.
Oh, that's the next thing. I keep jumping ahead, I guess.
That's okay. You're
okay.
excited.
Yeah, keep it moving. Yeah, so that was a preview of the next few things here.
Yes.
All right, thank you for the update on the projects. New business. Oh, the report of the GEDC committee. Tracy, where are we at on that?
So per our new, the new rules around remote participation, we weren't able to get a quorum. However, we did have I'll call it a brief conversation to get ramped up and understand what the group needs moving forward. I'll be talking, I sent you an email, but I'll talk to you after the meeting about it. Really, we want to bring some additional expertise to the table to, in terms of architecture, lending, and what was the other one? Real estate, to kind of take a look at the building and help us formulate the possibilities rather than coming up with a list as a committee and then asking them if that list makes sense. It might just be more efficient to have them kind of have a sense of the building before we get to that step. So we're working on collecting those folks and inviting them to participate. And we'll schedule another GEDC committee once we've got those folks on board and they've had a chance to walk through the building and just get an initial feel for what's going on there. But no official actions to report because it was not.
Is it still, I mean, with that kind of reorganization, a minor reorganization, do you think January is still a realistic target date or?
I'm going to be optimistic and say yes,
Okay.
and I might change my mind next month,
You got it.
but we're
Yeah.
going to still aim for that, I think, right?
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
All right. Okay, any questions or further updates? All right, appreciate the committee looking into this. It's an important aspect of our mission. Update on the application and fees, which was in our packet for the annual meeting.
Yes, so yes, it's in this packet because what we'll need to do is approve the revised version. There was a couple of minor things that we cleaned up, like it asked for which taxing jurisdictions you're in, and for the city IDA, that's not necessarily a factor, because I think this was just kind of templated from the county IDA perhaps. And so we cleaned up some of those kinds of references. Emma cleaned up a few added some check boxes and just made it easier for people to apply for different kinds of things. And then Emma created the new fee policy, which is the last page of your packet. And that's really the major change to the application. And this really allows you to do projects that don't involve pilots, which is nice because it allows you to assist smaller projects that might just need a sales and use tax and or a mortgage recording tax abatement, as opposed to a full-blown pilot. So this opens up an opportunity for different types of projects and might help to encourage additional deal flow and encourage additional activity within the city. So, and oftentimes this is really good for existing businesses who might not be making an expansion to their building, but might internally be doing work or buying, new, not necessarily production equipment because that's sales tax exempt already, but new types of supplies or shelving, or like a forklift is not production equipment and is taxable. So they might be making some adjustments that could benefit from this without needing the pilot. So that's the purpose of the new fee structure, is to allow for that. And it is consistent with, what we see with a lot of IDAs. So I think it's in a good place, and if it doesn't end up working for us, change it again.
Well, appreciate you both of you getting it cleaned up and legal. That's nice.
I have a question.
Yes.
If someone is, like some of my neighbors, if they're purchasing a big building and they're renovating it and putting in apartments one at a time and spending a lot of money, is there anything for them to apply for? They have contractors, they probably employ 3 different contractors at each building all the time over the last 2 years. So they're spending a lot of money. And I wonder if there's anything in.
Now, what's the threshold? Obviously, you can't do a residential, isn't there so many units or something that
I'm not sure if there's a unit count per se, but if you're qualifying them as like the low income housing, that's one way to fall under the commercial. So the statute defines a lot of things, but they set out commercial, which is very general and broad, right? So we just did in the city of Hornell, they did a low income housing project that's defined as commercial. And so the IDA and the board resolution just has to say that this falls under the category of commercial, yada, yada. If it is just residential, there probably isn't much the IDA can do. I'll chat with Russ and see if he has any suggestions. He's currently in Italy right now for a couple weeks. But yeah, so he'll know better if there's anything specific. But based on the statute, it's probably not under the purview of the IDA, unfortunately.
I've also seen residential included in mixed use projects, which are, have commercial and residential purposes, and it's rental units, not necessarily low income or affordable, but as part of a larger commercial project.
Mixed use.
Work as well. But I think this question of if it's solely residential in a residential neighborhood, I think
It's probably no, but if you have a commercial aspect of it, like a mixed use, and they put a business in the bottom floor or something, that could trigger the mixed use.
So we'll investigate more.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
They both complain about that. And
Who doesn't?
I don't,
I don't either.
because I came from a place that we didn't tax higher, so I'm okay. But these two people have really improved the neighborhood, what they're doing.
Okay. Any other questions about the forms that we have here? We are going to make a motion to approve it. I think this is all stuff that we're familiar with. I don't think there's anything new, other than it's just a better organization, a little bit clearer. So I'd like, if there's no more discussion, a motion to approve the updated application and fee structure for IDA financial assistance. Jason?
Yeah, absolutely.
RJ, what do you think?
I second that. Absolutely.
That's good. Okay, appreciate it. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion is passed. Thank you very much, Tracy, for putting that together. Unfinished business, we want to talk about the environmental on the Gateway parcel.
Yeah, I don't have a substantial update here. As I understand it, the new version of the submission to DEC is drafted and in good shape. It's being compiled, not seen it yet, but we're hoping to have that any day now and be able to submit it. So we're not a whole lot further along than we were last month, but we do have a good document from what it sounds like that will make the case to that would help to resolve any liability of the IDA and help to move a closure of that spill report forward.
Now, we'll expect probably some legal fees from Wendy. I know she said she was doing some of this gratis, but I think if it goes to fruition, we should expect some sort of.
I'll chat with her about it, about getting an official engagement involved. If the group wants to meet with her, we'd want to make sure we have an official engagement in place.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll chat with her about an
All
engagement.
right. As far as you know, the developers still, maybe anyone talked to them recently or?
Not in the last month, no.
Okay, but they're
I didn't
still
have much to say.
moving along. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Some of that was based on finding that the source of the pollution was offsite, right?
Correct.
Right, that's kind of what that's why we did the test drill to see if the tank was there, if there's any, evidence that there was a tank there, and they found none. So that cost us $800 or $900, something like that. It wasn't much to validate that. So then we went on and are now resubmitting to the DEC. Sounds like a very reasonable approach from what Wendy explained to us. Maybe that project will move ahead.
Dealt with the DEC.
Place to get a cup of coffee on the north side.
Hard to anticipate what their day is like and whether they're going to listen to you or not.
Okay, we have no need for an executive session.
We do have a need for an executive session.
We do?
We do. For officially the discussion regarding proposed pending and current litigation.
Okay, so let's have we'll open the executive session. You're going to take us offline.
We'll need a motion and a second first.
I'd like a motion to second Jason and Ben seconded to go into executive session. Thank you.